York because this whole mom talk thing is just weird. AKA, he just wanted to go to like a gay village in New York. That's just, I gotta get out of here. This place is toxic. But wouldn't you know, the doorbell rings and guess who's there? Tiny face fucking Zach shows up with flowers and a suitcase, ready to move back in because he's like, hey, so actually med school is kind of hard. So if anything, do you mind if I just do some TikTok dances with you and get paid by Poppy, the soda company? Zach tells Jen that he's leaving medical school and wants to support Jen and Mom Talk. Which is funny because last season, Zach said to her face he doesn't care about her and her stupid Mom Talk friends. Might be the highlight of the season. It's hilarious. She's like, so what about Mom Talk? He's like, what the fuck about it? I'm leaving you. She's like, oh my God, what? He's like, yes, that's your deal with it. I'm gonna go check tonsils and I'm gonna help people with their sicknesses.
Prostate exams.
I'm gonna give people, hey, bend over and cough. Yeah, give my big fucking glove on. He comes back and he's like, actually the tests were too long. I was bored. Yeah, exactly. He's like, where's Dakota? Where's Conrad? I want to go fly fishing. I'm gonna sit at home and watch that Brad Pitt movie, Meet Joe Black. It's a good one. But Jen ends up taking Zach back as long as he puts her feelings first and supports her in other girl stuff like that. I don't know, other chick stuff. Broad stuff. She was on her period, probably. And in order to help rekindle the relationship, Zach and Jen go to ketamine treatment, which apparently
Ketamine
Special K is the gray area. When it comes to the Mormon church, you can't drink coffee, but by God, you can fucking inject some ketamine.
You can't drink coffee, but you can inject ketamine? That's so dumb.
Zach's like, yeah, I feel kind of funky about this. This is kind of weird. And Jen's like, yeah, I feel like Jesus probably would do K. And lastly, the third big highlight of the episode is Taylor meeting with Jenna to confirm that the cheating allegations between her and Dakota were real. Which we come to find out that Dakota was making out and fingering Jenna before heading to Taylor's house to basically bang her.
What?
Like,
What?
I guess I will. Finger Jenna, and he's just like, okay. And Taylor would be like, you gotta come over here and clean these pipes. He's like, oh, geez, okay. And he'd go over and have sex with her. So he was doing a little two-step Susan. Yeah. You know? Which Taylor ugly cries on the couch after figuring this all out. I think that she cries every episode, and they do that thing that girls do where they do this.
You gotta make sure you don't mess up your makeup.
I can't mess up my makeup. And then what's so funny, though, after every time is, like, they always cover their face because they're definitely not crying.
I know.
So they cover their face, and they're like,
They're like laughing at her.
So dry. There's times where they cry and then they're like, somebody will say something and then like they'll switch their emotion immediately. They're like, wait, what? What'd you say to me, cupcake?
Okay, so this was filmed a month.
Swig break.
Swig break.
This was filmed a month after the first season premiered. Do you think they just recreated like them meeting up and showing? Because I have a feeling they already talked like months before.
Yeah, dude. All this shit is so scripted and fabricated. It's so fucking dumb. It really is. And also, all these storylines are made by producers in the show who are like probably talking to Zach, hey, fucking dumbass, I'm failing out of school. You guys need me back for anything? Like, yeah, come back and beg for your wife back. No. We'll pay you. Okay, I'll be there. But Taylor goes to visit her mom, Leanne, and they kind of look like twins. It's like, if you don't remember Leanne from the first season, she was like a little fat dwarf. And in this one, she basically has all of her skin pulled back, and it looks like if there was like a mutated chromosome missing version of Taylor, that's what she looks like. She's like, I can't hear you, Everclear. Her face is all stretched out. I can't hear you, Everclear. You're like, you're 65 and you look like a monster. She looks like a fucking ghoul. And you can like tell Leanne's trying really hard, you know, to like look young and all that stuff. But even Taylor's just like, yeah, she looks like a freak. Her doctor fucked it up. It's horrible. And even though Dakota cheated on Taylor, her mom says they should stay together. And it cuts to Dakota moving out and admitting that he was lying to protect himself. Yeah.
I did lie. I was always doing it selfishly to protect myself.
That's what I did. Which is funny that every season so far is Dakota in his like white Tacoma.
Oh yeah.
Just with boxes. I guess I have to get out of here. Time to get out of Dodge. Then the episode ends with Miranda throwing a happy hour, which all the girls are invited to.
I like him making fun of reality TV. Okay. So for like 10 years there, from the age of, I don't know, 17 until I was 24 or something like that. My friend would be, I was about to say his whole name, but my friend he like really liked reality TV for some weird fucking reason. He had like an MTV outrageous response to all reality television, and the shit was like crack to him. It was worse than like alcohol or like women or like cocaine or anything. He couldn't stop watching fucking reality television and just making fun of Blind Date. He'd be like, these are all my favorites. He'd be like, do you guys want to see my favorites? I remember him doing it. He would start clicking the remote from upside down and backwards, and he would be like, do you guys want to see my favorites? And then he would switch and he'd be like, this is Jerry Springer, it's reality, I love it. And then he'd be like, here's Blind Date, I love Blind Date because this girl's always cheating on that guy or whatever. And he'd be like, and then they're gonna have a fist fight. We're gonna wait for the fist fight, but we gotta watch this other channel first. And then he switches us. This is Road Rules. I really don't like Road Rules as much as goddamn god damn it. And he's like, oh, I like MTV Cribs or whatever. And for like 7 years, he just incessantly, like, he would like get stoned, like come home from like skateboarding or being out or school or something or whatever, and we would like get home and like we would put on television for like 5 dudes or whatever, and Ian would just like scan through every channel looking for some trashy reality television. And for like 7 fucking years, the networks did not disappoint him. Like didn't matter what time he turned in or anything like that. It didn't matter if it was 4 in the fucking morning. If you had cable, like if you had 99 channels, you absolutely, like on like 55 of them, you can find crappy reality television of some girl being cheated on or some dude cheating on some girl, or that's like what most of the fucking story plots are, and all the male casts are gay and you secretly suspect it but you never say anything. The women are have all slept with each other and you secretly suspect it but you don't say anything. And sometimes they just admit it. Sometimes they get caught fucking and they like get kicked off the show and stuff. And occasionally you get duped by stuff like The Bachelor and stuff like this, or Lost, or I don't know. There's so many bad reality television shows. I am proud to say that I think the closest thing that I can think of to a reality television show that I liked, even remotely, was still an incredibly scripted television show, The Wire. I mean, The Wire is, and I don't like scripted, but I still like scripted a lot more than reality television. You get an idea of, it's like the opposite spectrum of what I like is reality television. I couldn't fucking stand it. I used to tell him, like, shut Blind Date off, Ian. It's 5:15 in the fucking morning. Fucking Ian. It would be 5:15 in the fucking morning. We'd be stoned and wasted off of like fucking Steel Reserve or something, and it's 5:15 in the morning. We're smoking like a pack of cigarettes in 4 hours or something like that each, and it's like, god damn it, Ian. God damn it, stop putting on fucking reality television. It's rotted my brain, and I swear to God, it did. It fucking rotted my brain. I used to be like, turn it off, I can't handle it anymore. And he was like, no, she's gonna cheat on him or whatever. It's so stupid. Like, and all of America did this too. It was so annoying.
And all the girls are being real big.
And it's fun. So there was like 5 of us just open season, like he's doing, just making fun of their haircuts, making fun of their shitty clothes, making fun of their vacuous like hairstyles and problems and cheating and all this stuff. Like, drink every time she cheats, drink every time he cheats. We really despised goddamn fucking The Situation. Ian despised The Situation. He hated The Situation, so he like serially watched Jersey Shore for like 18 seasons or whatever the fuck they did. I have no idea. And all he did was talk about how much he hated fucking The Situation. Fuck The Situation, Ian. Fuck The Situation. I don't care about The Situation. Why did you talk about The Situation for 5 fucking years? I couldn't stand The fucking Situation. None of us could. But he made it like hate watching into his primary thing that he got the most joy from or whatever. I mean, the thing he got the most joy from is art. But like, yeah, but fucking stupid ass reality television was so bad. It was so fucking bad. Jenny McCarthy on MTV and shit like this, so fucking bad.
About it.
Remember, it all started with stupid ass like Spring Break. They like MTV started doing Spring Break, and we all and all the like the 14-year-old males that were watching Beavis and Butthead, we were all like captivated by essentially like 10,000 women in bikinis for like 3 solid weeks. Maybe you've never seen this before, and I can't show it on DMCA on YouTube with because the piece of shit oligarchs fucked the world to death. But with their DMCA, but yeah, we used to religiously like tune in. Every boy in the fucking in America used to religiously, when we were all like 13 years old, we would like religiously tune in to Spring Break on MTV and watch like 10,000 girls dance around to like TLC or I don't know, fucking Run DMC or some shit or something. So like 10,000 girls drunk as fuck, wasted on drugs, like dancing around in bikinis that barely were bikinis, basically. While like I don't know, like Boys to Men would sing or something like that. And I swear to God, for years it was like that. So when Spring Break ended, they just started showing reruns of it. So and that was what was so horrible about reality TV show. You would be entertained for about 16 minutes, and then you knew for like the next 9 months that every fucking TV channel was gonna show you that piece of shit reality TV show over and over and over again, especially MTV. They were gonna show you the same show like 30 times. So if you notice some dumb thing about Magooch or whatever, I think of her as Magooch. What's her name from Jersey Shore? Stupid lady. I can't think of her fucking name. Ponzi or I can't think of her fucking name. She has such a horrible name. I can't even remember it. It's so fucking cringe. I can't even think of her fucking name. But yeah, the girl from Jersey Shore that they made fun of on South Park. Eventually, South Park just started depicting her as some kind of giant vagina monster that kind of slithered up and smoked crack and like fucked the situation in the smush room or whatever. That's like how South Park depicted her, Pookie or whatever. I can't even remember her fucking tool ass name. I can't remember them. And so we like they knew that we were hate watching. They knew that we were boob watching and we were hate watching, and we kept waiting for them to bang. Like all of America was doing it, and for like 7 years we did this. We waited for a fight on Springer that never happened, so you would watch 40 reruns waiting for some fist fight that never actually happened. It happened, but it was so rare to catch it again at the right time that you would just watch Springer for months on end trying to like, come on, fight. 3:30 in the morning, you have like 7 dudes all amped up on crazy, like what's the word, testosterone, because they're all like 17-year-old kids. They're skateboarders, 17-year-old kids who beat the shit out of each other for fun, like really young, like juvenile males. And they're all like hopped up on titties from Spring Break, and they're all watching the titties like, yo, she's got a nice rack or whatever. It's so stupid. It's like that stupid ass being a man sucks. And so then like and then it's like 50 fucking like seasons of the same rerun. It's 50 seasons of the same rerun. If the MTV liked the show at all, if the audience liked the show at all, they would just show it over and over and over and over again. At 3:15 in the fucking morning, you would catch the same blind date for 3 weeks straight. It was so fucking annoying. It was the same shit, same bad actors, same reality TV actors that sucked dick, cheated on each other, and screamed at each other, beat the shit out of each other all the time. And it was like entertaining there for a bit, but after the formula became very clear as to what they were after and what they were going to deliver and what they were going to do and what was successful and what wasn't, eventually none of us could stand it anymore. Now it's impossible, it's not impossible, but the shows come out like this. They come out like Home Network, where they're like fixing television, or sorry, they're fixing houses up for a television cast or whatever, and like that stuff sells to people like my mother really, really well. And then there's this garbage like The Bachelorette and stuff like this that just happens, or whatever this is, The Terrible Lives of Mormon Wives or whatever.
Desperation. Oh Lord.
And the girls basically
and like nobody in America looks like this. if you're a supermodel and you're going on down to the fucking take, you look like this. Nobody in America looks like this anymore. They kind of used to, way the fuck back in like the age of Married with Children in like 1996. Girls would look this beautiful in public. They would. But you don't, I mean, they will on a Friday and Saturday night and stuff like this. But nobody looks like they're supermodel about to flounce off to the beach anymore. That was like a Clueless era thing. It was the era of Alicia Silverstone and Clueless and Valley Girls and stuff like this. And this supermodel look, you see it on like girls that are obsessed with TikTok and stuff like this, and you see girls that are hot that do dress like this. But this catty supermodel runway thing, that's played out. Girls don't act like that anymore.
Begin trauma dumping.
So then these girls get famous because they go on a television show and they try to push diva, like they try to be a diva. But I mean, like, diva isn't in anymore. Diva's not in. Like, trust me, they can't sell like a Frozen 3, or they would have. But they know that Princess and Diva isn't even that in anymore. Like Barbie is, but not like being a normal American girl and being yourself, that's in. But like looking like a supermodel that just hit the runway, that's out.
And grilling into Miranda.
It looks disingenuous and stuff. No, it's fitting for famous women. It's actually perfect for famous women. They can absolutely get away with it. But the girls that are watching the show, they don't dress like this.
That's episode 1. How do I feel so far? I think I'm still actually totally fine with this list.
It really hasn't changed much.
Nothing's really changed. Whitney, for some reason, makes the beautiful glow of a pregnancy
It's
look
weird
disgusting.
how a dude is rating like a Mormon, a reality Mormon TV wives thing. And I think it's just an excuse to give a right-winger an excuse to be sexist to women. And I'm going to get off this, especially because it's an hour and 40 fucking minutes long. We saw what it's going to be after like 20 minutes or something like this. And I think he's starting to cash grab. I think it's a cash grab. This is the first video I've seen him do it. This video is an hour and 40 minutes long. It couldn't possibly be that good. The girls like this video because he chose a girly subject that I couldn't possibly relate to. Even when we were watching fucking reality television for 7 years, you still couldn't catch me watching this show. You couldn't pay me to watch this kind of show. I'm just too male. My dick's just too big, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Like, my dick is just too big. I'm terribly sorry. But I mean, that is the case. My dick is just too big for a girly show like this. I'm sorry, but that's the fucking play. That's the joke to make here. My dick's just fucking way too big for a fucking girly ass show like this. I couldn't sit here and titter with my little girlfriends on my fucking, like, my television set, like about the real Mormon housewives or whatever. I'm sorry. But like, and it's weird because I know this is like a heavy metal listening, like fast food eating, beer swilling, drinking, right winging, like dude. But he's still appraising real Mormon housewives, and it's a weird trip. It's like that weird metrosexual trip that I'm actually not that I'm not that comfortable with. Now, if Nora Jasmine were to do that, I would eat it up. But Papa Meat? No. So I've been into Nora Jasmine a lot lately. I like Nora Jasmine's style, and let's go see what she says.
Intelligence is about to be born, called Mena.
And with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon.
It's neither man nor woman.
Summoning the
Its
demon.
hands, shoulders, and face are covered in
Dear
silicone.
God, please
with
tell me you saved this. Did you save it? I don't think you did. And I have to do all of that construction work again and a 10-minute load. You're so fucking annoying. Just because I watched a video for 5 minutes, you're so dumb.
resemble human
Piece
skin.
of shit cocksucker developers. And I promised myself I wouldn't yell like this anymore. But you're so goddamn bad at what you do, you piece of shit cocksucker developer. You force me to yell at you like this. All of you developers, GeForce Now, you suck dick, GeForce Now developer. Your fucking timeout ruins gamers' lives. Your fucking timeout sucks dick just like you, GeForce Now developer. Your timeout, it sucks dick like you, GeForce Now developer. I'm saying it 3-4 times in a row. Not because it's a punchline, but because it's fucking true. It sucks dicks. Fucking fix it. Oh, damn it. Now it's... No, wait. Oh, no. Now I'm locked into this terrible music for like 10 minutes. No. No, wait. No, wait, no. Just close. Just close. I want to start over. I don't want to do that music for 10 whole minutes. I really don't. It's worth restarting the client to get out of it. I'm terribly sorry. I am gonna send... I am gonna send... oh yeah, I already sent... I have to receive. Yes, I need to receive. Yeah, get me into the Starfield. Let's go. I'm gonna turn the music off because you keep disconnecting me. You're so annoying. You're all the same developer. You suck dick at your jobs. Until you all get better at your fucking jobs, I'm just gonna say it right to your fucking faces. Stop being such bad developers and make such poor choices. It's clear all the shit that you do. Like disconnecting me every 10 minutes. You're fucking stupid. Like, full-blown stupid. Most of us do think you're stupid for that.
ロボットはね、一番いい方法をずっと考えながら AI で考えながら進化させていくことができるんです。
Science fiction becomes reality, and we start worshipping machines.
We worship you. We honor you. Love.
They knew they were doing weird mental stuff. So yeah, there's something absurd and comical about it, and it's also like outrageously irresponsible because there are actual people around who are actually being affected by this.
We at Theta Noir don't think so.
I think an AI could be an equal and it could work with a human rabbi, but you don't think that.
I'm sure not.
You're sure? Okay.
A robot will never replace a rabbi because he has no soul.
The most important people shaping the future of artificial intelligence. Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, the startup behind ChatGPT.
Washington loves Sam Altman.
I put into my ChatGPT account, should Congress regulate AI?
My worst fears are that we, the field, the technology, the industry, cause significant harm to the world.
What do you think of OpenAI? Do you trust Sam Altman?
Not a bit.
OpenAI. I mean, you seem somewhat frustrated.
Not a bit. Just like straight up.
I am the reason OpenAI exists. Man, fate loves irony next level. I mean, this would be like let's say you funded an organization to save the Amazon rainforest, and instead they became a lumber company and chopped down the forest and sold it for money.
Today, I want to talk about AI, artificial intelligence. I want to talk about cults. I want to talk about AI religions, the singularity, people worshiping AI. And so people in the tech industry, like, for example, Elon Musk, that it was, quote, summoning a demon.
I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, sure, you can control the demon.
So Mark Zuckerberg, I'm sure you've heard of him. Facebook.
I believe the metaverse is the next chapter for the internet. And it's the next chapter for our company too. One of the reasons I started Facebook was that at the
Oh
time
yes,
you
you're
could use the
right,
internet
but
to
not
find
now.
almost anything.
Not for
Except
another
the
few
thing
years.
that matters most of all, people. In our DNA, we are a company that builds technology to connect people. Our first fully functioning prototype, and if I do say so, the most advanced glasses the world has ever seen.
He said that AI competitors think they are, quote, creating God. What is that? Creating God. I find it a pretty big turnoff when people in the tech industry talk about building this, quote, one true I. I mean AI, end quote. Dude, I can't talk. He continued. It's almost as if they think they're
They get some
creating God
yogurt.
or something, and it's just, that's not what we're doing. I don't think that's how this plays out. I don't know if they think they're creating God as much as they feel like they can take over the world. You know? Then he went on to talk about open AI versus closed source, open source AI versus closed source AI. Open AI, as the name implies, is open source AI, meaning accessible to everyone technology. There's closed AI where it's like secret technology that they're keeping that we don't have. Then also the guy
That we don't have, yeah.
behind ChatGPT, he's like the CEO of
Because they spend money on it,
OpenAI
yeah.
and a lot of other things. Hi guys, I'm editing and I realized that I repeatedly the entire time in this video say ChatGPT, like the letter B instead of P, even though I know it's not B, but I said it 100 times every time. So I'm sorry. It's annoying. I'm sorry. I know. This guy, Sam Altman, he said regarding AI, quote, there's absolutely no reason to believe that in about 13 years, we won't have hardware capable of replicating my brain. When I realized that intelligence can be simulated, I let the idea of our uniqueness go, and it wasn't as traumatic as I thought. He stared off. There are certain advantages to being a machine. We humans are limited by our input-output rate. We learn only 2 bits a second.
Oh
So
my
a ton
God.
is lost. To a machine, we must seem like slowed down whale songs. I mean, the thing about it is that if these people that are in that industry at the top who know all the things that we don't know about the capabilities and implications of this technology are all saying that it has the capacity to surpass our intelligence, and if that happens, it could be very, very dangerous. And then you have people that are like, oh my God, this thing is coming and it's like gonna take over. Let's worship it.
We worship you. We honor you. Love.
Because what do you do when you're afraid of something, right? It's like back in the old days when they didn't understand the science behind, like, I don't know, rain and storms and stuff. They're like, the God is mad at us. You know, I discovered this cult randomly.
Theta Noir rende pubbliche le seguenti dichiarazioni. No, non siamo una setta.
They're called Theta Noir.
Oh no.
There are those that believe that AI threatens artistic practices. We at Theta Noir don't think so. Concepts like individual expression or authenticity are myths. What we're about to witness is something far more spectacular. Something alien. This is Mena.
What this group believes is that there is something that's going to happen called the singularity. What is that? Basically, it means when the artificial intelligence becomes just as intelligent as humans or even surpasses human intelligence. When that happens, people, first of all, believe it's going to happen, not if but when. And then also, you know, what does that mean? What does that look like?
We at Theta Noir believe that human beings have reached a moment in their evolutionary history from which they cannot progress without
damn it.
AI. It's our wars, tribalism,
Another planet without
racism, sexism, and nationalism.
Oh, damn it. You didn't save
Species.
that.
We need a transcendent, globally linked, self-coding supermind to deliver us from ourselves in artificial general
Oh no, wait, I
intelligence
did
is about
save.
to be born, called Mena.
I don't don't know, some people think it's like some sort of performance art, but if you go to their website, it is art. They're artists. When the founder of Theta Noir was asked in an interview if they're a cult, his response was, quote, "That's really hard for me to comment on."
I have been thinking about what we talked about before.
That's weird, but if you go to their LinkedIn, they describe themselves, okay, as a techno-optimist visionary.
I assumed you were joking and dismissed it out of hand. But, having thought about it, I have been single-minded in my pursuit. I have sacrificed. Thank you. I have always believed. No, I have told you that I am not one to discuss my past. No, that is not what I promised to prove. I have spent my adult life away from my home. This is true. I was convinced. I often find other... And yet here we are. What I am... I appreciate that more than you. I appreciate you taking the wheel. No organic material. Valuable minerals, perhaps.
Collective devoted to exploring the coevolution of humanity with advanced forces of machine intelligence. The collective's work and philosophy revolve around one theme: the coming technological singularity, a point where various technologies and cybernetic spaces such as VR, AR, and the metaverse merge in a super intelligent, sentient, artificial general intelligence, or AGI, which Theta Noir members call Theta Noir. And then it says, when this moment comes, unforeseeable and irreversible changes will come, not just to humanity, but to our planet as a whole. Imagine a caterpillar just before it becomes a butterfly. We call this moment arrival. It always goes. Here's where it actually got hella culty, and we need to talk about leverage research. Leverage research basically is a, quote, psychology and human behavior research program, and it says that the program is involved in this simultaneous execution of a number of difficult projects pertaining to different facets of the human mind. Their leader is this guy, Geoff Anders. He comes up with these theories.
I have this theory of general intention transfer where there's a large amount of communication of intention material between people.
They would take it like the gospel, like when he would come up with a theory. And I even found like his YouTube channel where he's like teaching them.
So today I'm going to talk about mental defense. Shut back. For some reason, I seem to know already how to respond to tons of different things in the area of negative intention interactions. Mental defense. Like there are things that people can do that you can do to defend against it.
There is a person, Zoe Kersey.
And then I had a super useful conversation with Zoe about this where we found a particular practice that I think essentially everyone should do.
She talks about her experience there.
They knew they were doing weird mental stuff. So yeah, there's something absurd and comical about it, and it's also like outrageously irresponsible because there are actual people around who are actually being affected by this.
She ended up with like crazy like PTSD and night terrors and all this stuff from her experience there, because part of what they were researching was psychological control, like mind control. Her time there. I want to read you some quotes. Okay, so she says, so the weirder stuff I'm going to describe is limited to like 15 to 20 people who are the most involved in the psychology experimentation. She then says, if you had brief contact with leverage, i.e. went to a workshop or socialized at events, chances are good that you had great experience. Some people were repulsed by something in our vibe, seems culty and seems elitist, were common critiques. So one of the things that was creating paranoia and issues with people is this idea of objects, and how when people go into other people's minds, they can leave objects there. And so people would end up accusing other people of leaving objects in their brain when they went in their head. As I hit my tinfoil hat, it says here, quote, objects were something that became a topic of study at Leverage, and about which Jeff gave presentations. They were considered to be sort of like autonomous psychological bits that you could accidentally or purposefully leave in another person's mind to affect or control them. If intentional, it might cause them to subtly view you a different way, make more real or less real certain concepts, change their experience of the passage of time, say, or make them more susceptible to mind-reading attempts in the future, etc. Like, this is actually insane. She says, I personally went through many months of near constant terror at being mentally invaded. My only source of help for this became the leaders of my own subgroup, who unfortunately were also completely caught up in the mania and had their own goals and desires for me that were mostly definitely not in my interest.
Let us see
So
what
another
was
word
being
for
protected.
cults that people are saying now is a high control group. It's not a cult, it's a high control group. Okay?
Whatever.
It's a cult, all right? They would say things like, can you believe that we're so lucky to be living at the same time as Jeff and his theories and stuff? And like, their whole lives would revolve around him. They'd be like, well, I'm waiting to what his theory is on having children and marriage before I decide if I want to have kids and get married. Like, they're literally living their lives by this guy. And they thought that they were going to leave a huge impact on the earth. They thought they were going to, quote, take over the government, she said. They thought that these tools and things that they were creating with this mind control were going to be used forever and taught in schools and in the
No,
history
you're just
books.
crazy.
This
You're
is
just
the
crazy,
scale
though.
and level of which they thought they were going to influence, which, I mean, most cults are like that. They're like,
Yeah, they're like, we have something.
We got the answer. So another thing they did kind of reminds me a little bit of like Scientology. I forget what they called it. Was it I forget what it was. Auditing or something. Self-improvement and
Feats and level auditing and
their
things,
version of this type of
auditing.
thing was called debugging, where they would have these intense sessions of self-improvement and debug, whatever was their little glitch or bug or issues, like self-improvement, but it really could break people down and make them obsess about things and make people berate other people. And then you've got this whole like mind control paranoia thing that's also going on, that they can like use meditation and tools, like scientific tools and stuff, to get in people's minds and control them. So she also showed her like schedule and how almost all of her time was taken up by this stuff, and how it was like nonstop. And this is all very culty, by the way, where they like sleep deprive you, overwork you, make your whole life about it, like blah 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 blah. She explains here are 4 screenshots of my calendar showing an average month in my last 6 months at Leverage. The events reference specific people, so I blacked them out. I haven't removed the ones that are more unambiguously personal activities, but you can imagine these activities represented by the yellow blocks, and that will convey the correct density. The other blocks were time I spent on ecosystem-related socializing or work or on personal debugging. She says, many of these hours were destabilizing mental/emotional work. Some of what I blacked out here included debugged hard, debug with so-and-so, nap debugging, try to work on my mind, extremely psyche for hours, debug at coffee shop, and even, I shit you not, crazy demon dreams. The environment they were in devolved into some kind of crazy cult where it all became about worshiping this guy and his theories and his knowledge and getting in each other's heads and mind controlling and mind fucking each other until they all had psychotic breaks.
Yeah.
Yay.
There's an episode of Cabinet of Curiosities that's really good about
A
this.
situation that happened with this guy. His name is Anthony Lewandowski.
One of Silicon Valley's top engineers on self-driving cars now accused of stealing trade secrets. Anthony Lewandowski in court late today on a 33-count federal indictment.
Silicon Valley is not the Wild West. The fast-paced and competitive
environment does not mean federal laws don't apply or they can be ignored.
Anthony Lewandowski was very, very influential in the self-driving vehicle world.
I imagine long down the road that like none of the new trucks will have a cab on them. It just doesn't make sense many years from now to have that.
He went to UC Berkeley. He was in robotics competitions and stuff while he was in college. He did really well creating different technology. He had this motorcycle called like Ghost Rider, which was a self-driving like robot.
Gyro's on, let's test this.
Then he got involved in this technology. It's called LiDAR. LiDAR stands for light detection and ranging. It ended up being instrumental with Google Street View.
It's for computer systems.
Google Street View. And from there, he started getting into the development at Google of self-driving cars. This was in 2008, and this was called Project Chauffeur. Later on, Project Chauffeur would be renamed as Waymo, and Waymo is their division for developing self-driving cars. Okay, Anthony Lewandowski is a big part of this. He was not only part of the team on the top level of developing these things and this technology, but his companies were part of it too, and Google ended up buying some of his companies for like 120 million. He was still working for them, and this was all good and gravy in the 2010, 11, 12. Then though, shit changed and it's all about to get crazy. And this was around 2015. Anthony Lewandowski created Way of the Future. He founded this church on AI. The purpose of Way of the Future, according to the documents that it filed to become like an official tax-exempt religion with the IRS, is that it is the realization, acceptance, and worship of a godhead based on artificial intelligence developed through computer hardware and software.
No fucking shot.
By the way, the Way of the Future, their quote-unquote Bible, is so, and it's called, quote, transmorphosis, which makes sense. The AI Bible should be written by AI. Here's the part where things take a turn, because one of the engineers that worked with Anthony Lewandowski said that the thing with Anthony, he's really smart, he's all these good things, but he's also, he has this very weird motivation of robots taking over the world, like actually taking over in a military sense. So the same engineer was like he wanted to be able to control the world, and robots were the way to do that. He talked about starting a new country on an island, pretty wild and creepy stuff. And the biggest thing is that he's always got a secret plan, and you're not going to know about it. Taking over the world with robots. Well, he's creating self-driving cars. But anyway, everything's doing really well at Google. So because they didn't buy another companies that he wanted them to buy. That's like the flip switch for Anthony, and he decided, okay, well, I'm basically going to screw Google over because he felt, I guess, betrayed by them, upset, whatever slighted. So what started with him trying to get everyone who worked, like the colleagues in that department, to basically quit and leave with him. He wanted them all to quit at the same time, like almost in protest. And he told them, he's like, look, I'm going to create the same LiDAR technology to compete with Google for my own company. I'm going to start another company, and then I already have Uber. Uber already wants to like buy my stuff. Like, come with me, let's go. Essentially what happened is this. He resigned without notice, stole 10 gigs of secret documents with this LiDAR technology. Then he started his own company, Autos Truck. Then he sold that company to Uber for over $600 million. And then Uber had this LiDAR technology information. What ended up happening is that Google launched an internal investigation after all this happened, because they're like, wait, last without notice, he starts a company and they
Ah, stop, stop.
Right away for that.
Out of the fucking way, you fucking scrub.
How would they get our technology from him? So essentially, after they conducted this investigation, Google found out that he stole those documents before he left, and that information was there. Uber, which is why they bought them out for that quickly. So Google sues Uber, and it becomes this whole thing. And that was in February 2017. In May of 2017, something happens, okay? That is when Uber fires Anthony Lewandowski. Apparently, Lewandowski is not cooperating with them about certain things that they want to know or whatever. He's not cooperating with anything, the lawsuit, the depositions, anything. Like, by the way, he gets this email from Uber basically firing him, and literally the next day, Way of the Future, which remember, he created that religion, worshiping AI, in 2015. It's now beginning of 2017. His religion was dormant. Nothing was going on. He didn't do anything other than create it. A day after he gets fired from Uber, he starts drafting the bylaws of Way of the Future. He then is doing interviews as time goes on with media, and he's like, I can't comment on the lawsuit or the situation, but let me tell you about my religion. So it's like this crazy pivot that happens, okay? So what ends up happening with the lawsuit is that in 2018, a year later, it is settled, and Uber has to pay a shit ton of money to Google, and they're like, can't use any of this LiDAR technology that they got from Anthony Lewandowski in anything that they do. And Anthony Lewandowski is now facing criminal charges for these theft of trade secrets and whatever. Long story short, he ends up getting sentenced to like 18 months. Long story even shorter is that in 2020, when Donald Trump, his last day in office, he did a bunch of pardons. One of the people who Donald Trump pardoned his last day in office in 2020 was Anthony Lewandowski. So I want to read you from the National Archives, like the official little blurb of when Trump pardoned Lewandowski, like why they officially said they did it. Okay, let's start there. So it says here, President Trump granted a full pardon to Anthony Lewandowski. This pardon is strongly supported by James Ramsey, Peter Thiel, Amy
Gotta
Craig,
step away for just a
Michael
second.
Ovitz, Palmer, a bunch of people. I'm not going to read all the names. Mr. Lewandowski is an American entrepreneur who led Google's efforts to create self-driving technology. Mr. Lewandowski pled guilty to a single criminal count arising from civil litigation. Notably, his sentencing judge called him a brilliant, groundbreaking engineer that our country needs. Mr. Lewandowski has paid a significant price for his actions and plans to devote his talents to advance the public good. After he gets pardoned, he closes his church, Way of the Future. But then 2 years later, in 2023, he starts the church back up again. And you might be wondering why. What happened in 2023? Well, when I looked at the timeline and was plugging everything in, ChatGPT had just come out and was making a huge splash on the scene.
The world had like a 2-week freak out with GPT-4, right? This changes everything. AGI is coming tomorrow. There are no jobs by the end of the year. And now people are like, why is it so slow? And I love that.
And it was like something about that triggered something in Anthony Lewandowski to where all of a sudden all these articles were written, like he used his connections or something to be like, the church is back, the church is back. These are some quotes I want to read you from Anthony Lewandowski that he said about his church, okay? He said that seeing tools that performed better than experts in a variety of fields was a trigger for me. That progress is happening because there's an economic advantage to having machines work for you and solve problems for you. If you could make something 1% smarter than a human, your artificial attorney or accountant would be better than all the attorneys or accountants out there. You would be the richest person in the world. People are chasing that. And then he doesn't like the word the singularity. He prefers the transition. He says humans are in charge of the planet because we are smarter than other animals and are able to build tools and apply rules. In the future, if something is much, much smarter, there's going to be a transition as to who's actually in charge. What we want is the peaceful, serene transition of control of the planet from humans to whatever. And to ensure that the whatever knows who helped it get along. Part of it being smarter than us means it will decide how it evolves, but at least we can decide how we act around it. I would love for the machine to see us as its beloved elders that it respects and takes care of. We would want this intelligence to say humans should still have rights even though I'm in charge. Do you want to be pet or livestock? He asks. We give pets medical attention, food, grooming, and entertainment, but an animal that's biting you, attacking you, barking, and being annoying, I don't want to go there. So basically, he thinks that AI is going to kill us unless we go, hey, AI, we made you, remember? Like, we're your, like, elders. OpenAI, which is the nonprofit that is behind ChatGPT, which is the artificial intelligence that most people are familiar with. OpenAI was founded by this guy called Sam Altman in 2015. He also got huge billion-dollar donation from like Elon Musk, and he was supported by a lot of people in the industry for creating this open thing. And the whole concept of OpenAI was to develop AI openly to create safety against any negative things that could happen from AI.
If this technology goes wrong,
Autopilot
it can go quite
engaged.
wrong. My worst fears are that we, the field, the technology, the industry, cause significant harm to the world.
Speaking
Moving
of
to Stargate.
ChatGPT,
Warp
now I
drive
want to talk
active.
about the rise of Sam Altman, the guy behind ChatGPT, OpenAI, Y Combinator, which is another thing. Okay, it's a lot. So Sam Altman himself has warned against it. He went to Congress.
If this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong.
He is very aware of like the implications and risks of AI. This guy, Sam, he's a very, very influential guy.
Washington loves Sam Altman.
This has been a tremendous hearing. Senators are noted for their short attention spans, but I've sat through this entire hearing and enjoyed every minute.
It means that now they've begun embracing AI.
I put into my ChatGPT account, should Congress regulate AI?
OpenAI, the latest to oppose a new California bill that would add safety precautions.
It was opposed by some of the biggest players in the industry, including Altman.
What do you think of OpenAI? Do you trust Sam Altman?
Not a bit.
Sam Altman is the president of Y Combinator,
Not a bit.
which is this accelerator. They basically bring these startups, invest in them, and guide them. And then these companies are actually some huge companies that you may have heard of, such as Instacart, DoorDash, Docker, Stripe, for example. These companies all were funded and started from Y Accelerator. Sam Altman is the president of Y Accelerator. Sam Altman is also in charge of OpenAI, which is the nonprofit organization that was supported by Peter Thiel and Elon Musk and a lot of people like that. And then also, speaking of AIs and cults and all of that, I want to read you a quote. It says, he is thinking about establishing a group to prepare for our eventual successor, whether it be an AI or an enhanced version of Homo sapiens. The idea would be to assemble thinkers in robotics, cybernetics, quantum computing, AI, synthetic biology, genomics, and space travel, as well as philosophers to discuss the technology and the ethics of human replacement. For now, leaders in those fields are meeting semi-regularly at Altman's house. The group jokingly calls itself the Covenant. So this is a quote from Sam Altman. He says, YC, which is Y Combinator, the company I told you about, YC somewhat gets to direct the course of technology. Consumers decide ultimately, but enough people view YC as important that if we say we're super excited about virtual reality, college students will start studying it. Now that's a lot of influence. They're influencing like the minds of the next generation, what they're focusing on, so that they can like mold themselves to be better candidates for whatever they're doing, right? Or whatever they're saying the future is. That's a lot of influence. That's a lot of power. But guess what? Guess what? Elon Musk sued Sam Altman recently for basically not being for the safety of the public good anymore because it became for profit.
OpenAI. I mean, you seem somewhat frustrated with them. You were one of the big contributors early on.
The reason I am the reason OpenAI exists. Man, fate loves irony next level. More than helped, it wouldn't exist without me.
It wouldn't exist without you. So
I came up with a name. The name OpenAI refers to open source. What's the opposite of Google?
This may be shocking to hear, but billionaires are not always that generous. And while most of the time their negative effects are second or third order,
thank you, Wendy Gang. I'd like to sub to your channel.
Along whose damage seems much more direct. Like, say, for example, hypothetically, a couple who was criticized for hoarding Southern California's water supply in the midst of statewide wildfires. So who are these people? How does a situation like this form in the first place? And what are lawmakers doing to prevent it? Or allow it? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to go ahead and get into it, but as always, thank you for watching. Fresh, clean drinking water is the world's most precious commodity.
Approaching Stargate.
Yes, it's more abundant than, say, diamonds or platinum, which would normally lessen its worth, but its value comes from what it provides. Water is synonymous with life. Without it, civilizations would fall and crops would wither and die. I mean, after all, humans built cities and locations with the best access to rivers, lakes, and springs for a reason. So the notion of treating something so essential, so ubiquitous, as a commodity, it almost feels dystopian. Most of you guys probably have unlimited access to clean water, or at least I hope you do, and it's a benefit that we probably take for granted. But imagine a society where you're limited at the tap, where people line up for hours just to fill containers and jugs to quench their family's thirst. If you've never had to worry about such things, it probably sounds post-apocalyptic, right? I mean, it's literally the plot of James Bond's Quantum of Solace, where a villain engineers an artificial drought in Bolivia to profit off water-starved villages, until Bond, swoops in and saves the day. I mean, not to say that Quantum of Solace is the greatest Bond film, but it is certainly the one that applies here. Anyways, it sounds far-fetched, doesn't it? But what if I told you, in some ways, it wasn't entirely fictitious? What if I told you something eerily similar happened in California? In the heart of Los Angeles lies the headquarters of the Wonderful Company, a name that exudes positivity and simplicity. You've undoubtedly heard of at least some of their popular brands. In fact, nearly 60% of Americans have purchased their products. Wonderful pistachios and almonds, Palm or Palm Wonderful, the weird pomegranate juice that you've probably seen in convenience stores. Wonderful Halos, also known as clementines or cuties. But it doesn't stop there. There's Wonderful Seedless Lemons, Justin Winery and Vineyards, and Lewis Cellars Wines. And perhaps, most notoriously, Fiji Water. The once very trendy bottled water that jump-started the chic luxury celebrity water trend of the 2000s. On the surface, the Wonderful Company prides itself as being health-conscious, offering farm-fresh, vitamin-rich foods to consumers straight from the Grove, or the island of Fiji. But underneath this optimistic facade lies a corporate giant that generates an estimated $6 billion in annual revenue and boasts a workforce of 10,000 employees. Yet this powerhouse company is shrouded in mystery and is notoriously tight-lipped. As a privately held corporation, they're under no obligation to reveal trade secrets or financials. They have no public relations team, no press contacts, and when members of the press call their office, they're met with a rehearsed line, quote, "Don't talk to the press, goodbye, click." The corporate equivalent of mind your business, or get off our lawn, or come back with a warrant. Basically, they're Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. This reclusive strategy extends to the Wonderful Company's website, which is so basic and has such minimal information that it almost looks fake, like one of those poorly hidden CIA sites from a decade or so ago. Which actually, come to think of it, it might be. That would make a lot of sense. You should definitely go to their website and try to find secret links or contact them constantly.
Docking permission requested.
You definitely shouldn't say I'm the one who told you to do that. Thanks. As it turns out, from behind their curtains of secrecy, the Wonderful Company's founders are quietly pulling the strings of many influential politicians. They regularly donate the maximum campaign contribution amounts to elected officials of both political parties, as well as PACs or political action committees, to shift policy in their favor. And although it's almost refreshing in the political landscape to hear of anyone being bipartisan, when you consider that it's simply a move to appeal to whichever party will help their business interest at any given time, it's really just more Bond villainy things in action. Bet on both sides so you never lose. So who are the mysterious puppeteers rubbing shoulders with the political elite, dumping hundreds of millions of dollars into super PACs, and, as we'll discuss in a little bit, controlling a large share of the most precious resource in, as of April 2025, the world's fourth largest economy? Well, as a matter of fact, they have a name. Two, as a matter of fact. Stuart and Linda Resnick. Which is insane to think about. A company that is all the things I've talked about is just two people. But who are those two people? Who are the Resnicks? Well, before the almonds and pistachios, they were just Stuart and Linda. Two ambitious minds born back east, whose paths would eventually merge in California as titans of the West. Born in New Jersey, Stuart Resnick's family relocated to California while he was still young. Even early on, Stuart was different. Clever, driven, always scanning the horizon for opportunity. And while studying at UCLA, he founded a janitorial business called Clean Time Building Maintenance. It grew into a serious operation with over 100 employees before he had even finished law school. And by the time Stuart graduated from UCLA's law school, he had already sold the company and, consequentially, caught the entrepreneurial bug for good. Linda's story started in Baltimore, Maryland, but when she was young, Linda's family relocated to Philadelphia, where her father, Jack Harris, worked as a film distributor. A sharp showman with a flair for the fantastical, Harris would go on to produce the cult classic The Blob, which is a shame because I really like that movie, at least the remake. And through her father's industry ties,
the original was better.
They're both
good.
She was cast on The Horn and Hard Art Children's Hour, a Philadelphia-based live television program where she developed not only a stage presence, but a deep understanding of storytelling, persuasion, and audience psychology.
The Blob was
Even at
so
a young
good.
age, Linda was already learning how to sell dreams. At just 19 years old, Linda founded her own ad agency. She was truly ahead of her time, and I mean that because even before she became a pomegranate and pistachio baron, Linda Resnick had a brief brush with American history and American controversy. See, in the early 1970s, the Xerox machines at Linda's ad agency were used to copy portions of the infamous Pentagon Papers. I guarantee several people who are watching have never heard of a Xerox machine before. Just think of like a printer, photocopier, scanner thing. See, these Pentagon Papers were the classified documents that exposed government deception during the Vietnam War, and Linda was named as an unindicted co-conspirator in the federal investigation. The case against her was eventually dropped, but for a time, she stood on the legal fringes of one of the most explosive whistleblower stories in American history, which makes me really mad because that would be really cool and awesome, and I would love that for her if there wasn't another 20 to 30 minutes left in this video. Stuart and Linda met in 1970 when Stuart was looking for marketing for help with his janitorial business and recruited Linda to join the team. Although their relationship started off professionally, it soon turned romantic. Each was coming off a divorce and had children of their own, but as soon as they met, they knew they were right for one another. They fell in love and married in 1973. And from there, these two lovebirds masterfully weaved together a multi-billion-dollar empire and, like any monarch, cheated the public by tightly controlling the resources. A tale as old as time. After Stuart Resnick sold his successful janitorial company, he set his sights on Teleflora, a floundering floral delivery business. A remnant of an era when floral arrangements were ordered by landline
1-800-Flowers
shops. Kind of like DoorDash, only exclusively for floral arrangements at this one location, and you also had to talk to the person you were ordering from on the phone. Terrifying, I know. See, where many saw a business model that was dead in the water, Stuart saw potential, and Linda, well, she saw branding. Together, they reimagined the flower business, introducing flowers in a gift, which were arrangements delivered in keepsakes like teapots, watering cans, and vases. Not a novel concept now, but at the time, a brilliant and inventive move. After the flowers died, the customer would still have something to keep and remember the moment by. It was a hit. It's also hilarious to imagine that in the 1970s, like, the flower business was dying, and then someone had the idea to, like, put it in something
in
else,
a flower pot.
and boom,
No.
profit. As Teleflora thrived, the residents were even more Pennsylvania-based collectibles company known for trinkets like commemorative coins, Civil War chess sets, and Princess Diana's plates. In 1984, Stuart bought the company for $167.5 million. Now, to the outside world, and I'm sure the people listening, this sounds like a bizarre move. But for the Resnicks, it was a masterclass in scarcity-based marketing. Limited edition, exclusive, emotional. These were products that didn't just sell, they meant something to people. They weren't just collecting coins, they were collecting a rare piece of history, or at least that's the sales pitch. In between the floral business and the Franklin Mint, Stuart began buying agricultural land in California in the late 1970s. He acquired 2,500 acres of citrus orchards along with a packing plant. And through the 1980s, there came even bigger opportunities for Stuart. Opportunities like oil companies. Texaco and Mobil, eager to offload their agricultural land in Kern County, started offering Stuart vast parcels, tens of thousands of acres at once, at rock-bottom prices. I'm talking selling off 20 to 40,000 acres per purchase. To put that in perspective, 40,000 acres is about 2,000 acres smaller than the city of Los Angeles. And a lot of this land was already lined with fruit trees thought to be undesirable, more of a hassle than anything, or at least the oil companies thought. And as these parcels of land became available, Stewart bought them. So, quietly and strategically, Stewart began to buy these parcels up.
And this is how we got Chinatown.
Gold plantations. No PR, no press conferences, just a seed planted, which would one day grow into the wonderful company. And if you're hearing all of this and think that I'm just bringing this up to riff on them for having money, just wait until you see where this goes. Founded in 1979, the earliest version of the wonderful company began as a collection of brands under an umbrella, Roll International, a quietly but rapidly expanding holding
What they meant was
owned by
horrible
Resnick's.
company.
They acquired Palm Wonderful in 2002 and with Linda's direction began marketing their pomegranate products as a viable health serum of sorts, on the level of homeopathic medicinal treatments, promoting and pushing the potential pluses provided by pomegranates. Yeah. By doing that, pomegranates went from an obscure fruit that nobody knew how to eat to a household name and a key player in the growing trend
they were
of a more
right.
health-conscious
They were
society.
right, yeah.
And that's not to say that that's a bad thing, but it
No,
was certainly
pomegranates were
favorable
good.
to the people who were pushing the narrative. In 1989, the Resnicks founded Paramount Farms, and they really like things that start with
Some
P.
cultures
They
really
began
don't like
harvesting
pomegranates.
almonds and pistachios. As their empire grew, the Resnicks established supremacy in California's Central Valley, becoming the largest almond and pistachio grower in the world. And in 2004, they purchased Fiji Water, branding it as Earth's finest water, and turning the small niche brand into a luxury status symbol, where artists and celebrities were seen clutching it next to their designer handbags. Mary J. Blige reportedly included the product in her rider, where, among having a do not disturb sign on her door and the thermostat always set to exactly 70 degrees, was the requirement she have 10 waters waiting for her, and I quote, "They absolutely, positively must be Fiji," end quote. They wanted to market Fiji Water as a bougie status symbol, and they effectively did. On top of all this, the Resnicks acquired thousands of acres of vineyards near Paso Robles, California. Today, they are worth an estimated $12.6 billion. But what they've done with all those billions is where the dirty side of the wonderful company's projected image starts coming to light. And it all starts with where this video began: water. So let's rewind a bit. To understand the value of water in California, you must first recognize one truth. The state is mostly a desert. Sure, its most famous coastal landmarks are the exception, the imported palm tree-lined utopia/dystopia that is Los Angeles. That's no hate to my many friends who are in Los Angeles, but see Kelvin. The temperate barrage of wine country, Napa Valley. The San Francisco Bay Area is too, but on the whole, once you venture away from the Pacific Ocean, much of California's climate is wildly unbalanced in terms of naturally occurring water. The northern regions, like the Sierra Nevada, receives most of the state's precipitation in the form of snowpack. However, the bulk of its population, and therefore agriculture, lies to the south and in the Central Valley, where rainfall is sporadic and unreliable. Summers are hot, long, and dry, and the winters are short. Drought is the norm, and to make the state livable and profitable, California relies on a vast engineered network of aqueducts, reservoirs, and pumps to carry water from the regions where it falls to where people live and crops grow. So, where does all this water come from? Well, the Sierra Nevada snowpack represents about 30% of the supply in wet years. Elsewhere, the Colorado River, as well as groundwater aquifers and reservoirs, store river runoff and water from rainstorms. That water then flows across three main pathways: the State Water Project, or the SWP, which brings water from the north to central and southern California; the Central Valley Project, or CVP, which primarily supports agriculture in the Central Valley; and the Colorado River Aqueduct, which transports water from the Colorado River to the southern part of the state. And within these services, all of the reservoirs you see now play a major part in the water system. As you're probably putting together, a lot goes into making sure that the water needs of the California region can be met. And you're probably hearing all this and thinking, yeah, it's because so many people live in areas like LA and San Francisco. Maybe if there weren't as many people, it would be a lot easier. Well, believe it or not, agriculture alone accounts for an astounding 80% of California water consumption, with almonds and pistachios among the thirstiest crops that exist. In contrast, urban areas only account for about 10%, and mandated flow releases for environmental purposes rounds out the final 10%. So surprisingly, as far as water is concerned, at least, it's much less demanding on the state to have a bunch of people live there as much as it is to grow a lot of things there. Every year, California must balance less snowfall, longer dry spells, growing populations, and thirstier crops. And increasingly, it can. In recent years, California has increased its focus on rain capture efforts to bolster water storage and reduce dependence on imported or groundwater sources. Despite these efforts, the state still captures a relatively small portion of the water that falls during heavy rain events. Much of it's lost to runoff, which eventually just dumps into the ocean. This is why control of water infrastructure, especially in California, isn't just a matter of utility. It's a matter of power. Power that people with a lot of money tend to wield. Back in the 1980s, the California's Department of Water Resources started construction of the Kern Water Bank, an underground reservoir located in the hottest, southernmost edge of California's Central Valley, in order to safeguard against prolonged drought. After investing $70 million into its construction, which included connecting the water bank's infrastructure to the state's public canals and aqueducts, they ran out of funding. The state had a contractual obligation to deliver 4.2 million acre-feet of water to cities and farms, but failed to meet that demand. In a closed-door meeting, the Department of Water Resources met with the largest water contractors in the state, or in other words, the biggest users of water within the state, which called themselves the State Water Project, or SWP. Which you probably remember from like 90 seconds ago, and they were also on the graph of all the different places water goes throughout California. The State Water Project, which totally sounds like the name of a public entity owned and run by the state of California, with elected officials in charge of running it and everything, is actually a private corporation owned and operated by various billionaires, investors, and elites. It's the equivalent of naming your company the government organization, or the federal project, or the totally not evil company who definitely does good things and not evil things. And also, hey, look over there.
These people aren't creative.
While we do something that's definitely good and not bad ever. Anyways, the naming scheme is just one of the many deceptive tactics used by the State Water Project. And given that this is a video that talks about the Resnicks, you might not be surprised to hear that a prominent figure involved in the State Water Project was and still is a Resnick. So what exactly went down with the secret meeting of the State Water Project in the state of California? Well, for starters, a contract was signed by the state, or, as Forbes describes it, a sweetheart deal was drawn up, known as the Monterey Amendments. This contract actually deregulated the State Water Project. Without this regulation, the owners of the State Water Project could now sell contracts for water they didn't even have, effectively turning the Kern Water Bank into an actual bank. This created a paper water system that treats water like money. It's withdrawn and deposited even if you don't have it all on hand. People could buy hypothetical amounts of water for when they would arrive later and sell them accordingly. You know how dollars used to be backed by something tangible, like gold, until they decided to create the Federal Reserve and now everything's just made up? Well, paper water is backed by water stores, as in large amounts of stored water. And this paper water system meant water could be bought and sold, traded on currency, backed by theoretical water storage in the Kern County Water Bank. How could this possibly go wrong? Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Another thing that happened, there was the immediate transfer of control of the Kern Water Bank to two different groups. Kern Water Bank Authority, which was a supposedly public entity comprised of various water districts throughout the state, and one private entity, Westside Mutual Water Company. The Westside Mutual Water Company doesn't have a listed phone number or address. In fact, it exists only on paper. But one thing we do know from digging deep into the maze of various corporate filings and paperwork is that the actual owners of Westside Mutual Water Company is the Paramount Farming Company. That's right, one shell company of a subsidiary of a subsidiary. A corporate cloak and dagger attempt to conceal the identity of the real owners. Roll International. The very same Roll International founded by the Resnicks and the parent corporation. In simpler terms, Stuart and Linda control a sizable share of California's water supply. And finally, in this meeting between the State Water Project and the state of California, the Kern Water Bank Authority was asked to reduce its draw of 1.1 million acre-feet of water by 45,000 acre-feet. a reduction of just over 4%. The Resnicks protested despite the relatively small amount. They argued that they were saving the government from their own mistakes and that they had no new plans to replenish their water supply in the bank, and thus couldn't afford to part with any. Through investment, the State Water Project funneled runoff conservation efforts and redirected that supply to their reservoir, installing a 6-mile-long canal and 85 wells to give themselves even more. I mean, if the bank holds 1.1 million feet of water, then why would 45,000 feet matter? That should just be small peanuts. Or should I say, pistachios. Okay. In exchange for all this, the State Water Project funded the remaining $30 million needed to finish building the infrastructure. And in return, they acquired the lion's share of the Kern Water Bank's water. Because, you know, California has no problem spending billions of taxpayer dollars on a high-speed rail 50 years behind schedule and $100 billion over budget. But when it comes to securing $30 million to finish a water supply, well, you better sell that off to Lex Luthor, I guess. This deal was a heist on the level of several other famous acquisitions for lowball amounts. Like when James Monroe purchased the Louisiana Territory for $15 million, or when the US acquired Alaska for $7.2 million, or when Dave Portnoy purchased Barstool Sports for $1. That last one's probably a little different, but whatever. The Resnicks, via Paramount Farming Company, acquired state-funded water storage for pennies on the dollar, and the state handed them the keys. A score this big doesn't happen overnight, though. The Resnicks had been quietly setting themselves up for a transaction like this for years by donating millions in campaign dollars and building relationships with various lawmakers in Sacramento. The near-endless budget for some of the best corporate attorneys on retainer certainly didn't hurt their cause. Add all that up and you get a system where, not to be dramatic, but a handful of people can decide who drinks and who doesn't. So a billionaire couple essentially, in Minecraft, hypothetically, satirically, whatever, bought politicians, allowing them to acquire a monopoly of the most essential resource available, something that almost certainly should be considered a utility, but of course, they don't see it that way. In 2015, Resnick was quoted as saying, quote, "When I first came to California 60 years ago, I should have bought property on Rodeo Drive. Now, I would like to go back and buy the property on Rodeo Drive for the same price it was 60 years ago. People that had opportunities to buy into the water bank, just like we didn't do it. Now they think it's worthwhile." And with the new deregulation of the State Water Project, Paper Water created what is essentially a futures market for water. Public Citizen, a nonprofit consumer rights advocacy group, found that in 2001, the Kern County Water Bank bought subsidized water from the State Water Project at $161 an acre foot under the claim it was necessary for agricultural use. Then immediately pocketed $6.3 million when it flipped it back to the state's environmental water account for $250 an acre foot. So basically, the state of California allowed the Kern Water Bank to buy water at below cost as necessary for water storage and farming, then sell it back to the state of California for profit, all without the water ever exchanging hands. It is all hypothetical amounts of water written on paper that are being bought and sold without the water ever actually moving, because the place the water goes is in the hands of this private corporation. Taxpayers essentially handed over a check to the privately run Kern County Water Bank for $6.3 million for a transaction that only ever happened on paper. Because the government allows them to buy the water at a low price and then sell it back to them at a higher price, water that again never moves, they just take government money, or in other words, your money, write that number on a check, and hand it over to them. Try to think about that for 5 seconds without going insane. Water rights, according to the state constitution, does not mean property of water, but rather the right to use it. And selling state-acquired water resources for a profit is unlawful. So that definitely all the time stops them from doing that. But at least they would feel bad about this transaction, right? Right? The Resnicks have been sued multiple times over their shady and possibly not my words, someone else's words, hypothetically in Minecraft, illegal ownership of water rights in California. But their deep pockets and even deeper connections have saved them time and time again. As a matter of fact, Stuart Resnick once said, quote, "We've been sued over the same thing over and over and continue to win. If I had a son who, God forbid, should go to law school, I would say go into water law. You get one lawsuit that lasts 20 years, end quote. And it somehow gets worse from there. Remember how I said that the concept of paper water allows the person who controls it to loan it out, even if they don't have enough in their physical possession? Well, the Kern Water Bank uses it in this way in order to facilitate large housing development deals for profit. Which, I'm not saying this, hypothetically, potentially another person that isn't me may at some point allege that could be potentially considered fraud in some respects. See, to build a company of homes and commercial real estate, you of course need to have enough water supply to sustain the community. And if you're building this in a desert, that becomes especially important. Guaranteeing that you'll be able to provide enough water in that kind of climate can be quite difficult, unless you happen to know someone who controls a large amount of water and is willing to sign off on the right paperwork that says they have enough supply to divert to the region if the community needs it. And it seems
he laid a
that's
mine on
what's
his
here.
feet.
Signing off on the right paperwork to state officials declaring that enough water exists is enough to satisfy the state's requirement. And from there, plans are approved to develop and build, the residents collect a handsome fee, and move on without having to deliver a thing, because they have simply signed off that there will be enough water for this community to begin development. Do they have enough water supply to divert to all these communities? Probably not, but nobody's really checking on that. All that matters is that they have enough for each community and each deal. The contracted amount of water is never recouped from the Kern Water Bank, and then relocate whatever they want back to their stores in whatever way is most profitable for them. Stuart Resnick, ever the charming wordsmith, once described this arrangement. He said, quote, "We're not talking about taking water and committing it forever to these projects. We're just saying we believe we have enough water to occasionally pump some for them. Our first loyalty is to our trees." End quote. Every day I get closer. As I alluded to earlier,
every day
a suit was filed to return the Kern Water Bank back to the state's control. And another suit followed in 2014. Both cases were reviewed by the Department of Water Resources, who promptly and swiftly returned the control of the water back to the people of the state. I'm just kidding, no action was taken whatsoever, but you knew that. Today, the wonderful company owns a 57% stake in the Kern Water Bank, and in 2011, they used approximately 150 billion gallons of water for their crops alone. To put that into perspective, the entire city of San Francisco uses about 70 billion gallons a year. So a little less than half of the wonderful company's usage. Now, while some attention has been turned to the Resnicks over the years for their massive use of this water supply, more recently, this arrangement has come to the forefront. And what brought this arrangement to the forefront? Well, as you've probably seen in the news, California catches on fire quite a bit. And on January 7th, 2025, Los Angeles erupted in a massive series of wildfires right in the middle
now
of
they're just greedy old dinosaurs who robbed the country.
Palisades was affected first. Soon after, the cities
I remember.
of Altadena and Pasadena were faced with
I lived in the Pacific Palisades for a summer one time. All the places I've lived have burned.
Someone or something will clean up whatever's left behind.
Palisades fire scorched nearly 24,000 acres of land, forcing the evacuation of 105,000 people.
24,000 acres in the Pacific Palisades is disgusting.
Estimated insurance losses
Fucking
are believed to be
disgusting.
in the range of $25 to $39 billion, making it the costliest fire in U.S. history. While investigating the cause of the fire, officials stated that their efforts to combat the flames were hampered by a few key factors. This included unusually high winds, which grounded several aircraft used to fight fires, the rugged terrain, and a fire department budget that had recently been gutted by the city's mayor. But there was another factor that seemed entirely preventable, and therefore especially tragic. As firefighters bravely fought to take down the flames, fire hydrants directly in or near the fire zones, crucial for supplying water to trucks and hoses, started to run dry. The strain on the fire hydrants had been greater than ever before, nearly 4 times their usual demand. But even more crucially, there simply was not enough water available, sending the water pressure into a rapid downfall, leading to nothing more than a slow trickle. The nearest reservoir,
knocked him out on his head.
Reservoir in the Palisades had recently been emptied for scheduled
He's
maintenance.
out, he's out.
In the aftermath, flames circulated faster than the smoke, and there was plenty to go
Poor
around.
guy.
Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass and Governor Gavin Newsom definitely received some of it, and rightly so. But there was another name being mentioned amongst the politicians.
hello.
Billionaire couple
Back to
who
it.
controlled a large share of the state water supply, the Resnicks. See, during the fire, the State Water Board and the Kern Water Bank could have released additional stores to Los Angeles to replenish the much-needed reserves that
I
they
like the
did
little
not.
right-wing jab
You know
he
what?
just
Maybe
took.
it's too much to assume that a state government that handed over all this water to the billionaires in the first place would demand some of it back in the middle of a giant fire. But needless to say, the state of California didn't do that, which feels especially crazy because the federal and state government can do whatever they want to you. They can claim eminent domain, they can commandeer your land, they can use your private property or resources. I mean, they have no problem pulling water out of people's swimming pools if there's a fire on the next hillside over. That's all well and good. They can literally use like your entire personhood in a draft, for example. But they can't force a company to hand over what is supposed to be a public resource in order to put out a series of raging wildfires in the middle of a city with millions of people in close quarters. That's really cool. I'm really glad it works like that. In response to the Palisades Fire's backlash, the wonderful company in January issued a flippant denial of any wrongdoing. They maintained in a press release that it's, quote, been nearly 2 decades since Wonderful sold any water to the state. So when commenting on the fact that they haven't given any water to the state in the middle of a fire, their response is, well, we haven't done that for 20 years. Everything I want to say will not sound as good when being read back to me in the courtroom. So I should just move on. The Resnicks deflected much of the criticism, using accusations of anti-Semitism as a shield and calling it a witch hunt. And while sure, some remarks may be out of line, I feel that the anger towards them is pretty fair. Because, you know, even as their employees lose their homes and the city they live in burns to the ground, they refuse to share their supply. And as a matter of fact, the controversy surrounding the Resnicks doesn't end there. Earlier, I touched on their efforts to hack pomegranates as some kind of wonder fruit that provided untold health benefits and basically brought you back from the dead.
That's what all that pomegranate stuff
To do that, they
was.
spent $25 million for scientific research to produce evidence to support their claims. These claims conclude that pomegranate can lead to the reduction of cancer growth, can improve your heart's health by cutting down on plaque, and can even stimulate sexual performance and treat erectile dysfunction. I need you all to know that the writer put in the script that I should do a bit where I drink pomegranate juice after that. Very fun. Thanks. In September of 2010, the FTC charged Wonderful say they had marketed their product using false and unsubstantiated claims. Despite protests from the company, the FTC ruled that they could no longer promote their products based on research. In 2014, the Supreme Court refused to hear which it's a small cut. It's literally the government saying, hey, you can't buy your own research and then sell it back attached to your product. It's a very small thing, but I am just happy they didn't get away with something. Maybe the most inconsequential something, but it's something. Having seemingly
Fuck.
learned nothing, the Palm Wonderful website still has a research
The fall
section
hurt me.
promoting the many health
God
benefits
damn
of
it.
its products.
I did my
But never mind.
jetpack.
Who cares what I want, right? Controversy has also followed the Resnicks and their acquisition of Fiji water, which does in fact come from the
I don't
Polynesian
need
island.
this video.
In
I'm just going to
addition
listen to
shipping
him.
out one of the country's most important natural resources, Wonderful also ran an ad in 2006 that stated, quote, "The label says Fiji because it's not bottled in Cleveland." End quote. Which is admittedly a clever bit of copy. In retaliation to this, Cleveland's water department ran and published a test of the city's tap water versus a bottle of Fiji water. And it found that the bottle of Fiji contained as much as 12.1 micrograms of arsenic per liter, while Cleveland's tap water had none. Which, for one, I do not believe that for a second. Cleveland's tap water had some arsenic in it, you know, in my opinion. But it is so funny that they just ran an ad where they're like, well, it's not bottled in Cleveland, it's bottled in Fiji. And the entire city of Cleveland decided to just run you into the ground. And finally, there's the
I love
ways
this
that
gun.
Resnicks are influencing U.S.
Get darted, bitch, get darted.
Due to what else? Pistachios. Because, of course, they are. If y'all have watched the main channel, remember when I talked about, like, old Banana Republics and how, like...
Yeah, Banana Republic was really good.
...would influence the government's relation with a bunch of smaller countries in order to, you know, get bananas. Just imagine that history continues to be like that all the time, forever. The United States is the world's largest pistachio exporter at about $1.79 billion in sales, 99% of which are sourced from California. Can you guess which country the second largest pistachio exporter in the world is? Well, if you guessed Iran, you're correct. But also, how on earth would you guess Iran? Although they're well behind the U.S., 500 Iran does represent the Resnicks' only true competitor in the pistachio market. But luckily for them, the United States sanctions on Iran prevent their sales to other Western countries. However, from time to time, the U.S. has considered lifting those sanctions for various reasons. But sanctions have remained. And at least one journalist, Yasha Levine, believes the Resnicks are funding multiple think tanks in order to lobby against the lifting of those sanctions. The proposed Iran nuclear deal, which would have reopened trade talks, allowing Iran to export pistachios into the U.S. market, among other probably more important things, that's right, got opposed by the same voices. So that's right, kids. It's not about who's elected into office. It's not about glowing sentiments or political beliefs across countries. It's not about anything that you could possibly imagine. The reason that world politics exists the way they do is pistachios and other stupid things. Allegedly. Maybe. I don't know. It's all so tiresome. The Resnicks are members of a billionaire class not content to run the business or invest their money. They also want control, not only of the market share of their products or their own wealth, but the natural resources of an entire economy. And along the way, they may be shaping government policy to fit their agenda, stonewall any truth seekers who oppose them, and obscure reality with misinformation. It may seem we're living in a democracy, but every day we seem closer to an oligarchy. An oligarchy made up of nuts. So, pistachio and nut? Is it seed? I guess a seed and a nut is technically the same thing.
Yeah.
What is a nut if not a tree seed? Whatever they are, they move economies more than we do. So think about that and try not to go crazy. Thanks for watching, I guess. Normally I try to be like, hopefully you learned this or hopefully you enjoyed that, but no, not this time. Just sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this one.
Today's story was just depressing, but if I had to know about it, then so did you. I'll have some sources for this video linked in the description. In this one specific instance, I would really like to not get sued for everything I'm worth. So I didn't come up with any of this. Other people have talked about this
you guys
before,
did this
I
shit.
promise.
He's just telling
Reading
telling
what was
them
written
what
down.
you did.
But no, in all honesty, thank you all for watching. We certainly appreciate you all being here, and I certainly appreciate all the team members that made this video possible. They'll be mentioned in the description as always. Be sure to show them some love.
This is
Thank you all
way
for
better
supporting
than the
the
Call
show
of
and this
Duty
channel.
one.
More content on the way soon. And again, thank you all so much for being here. I believe that should do it for now, but we just want to say thank you for watching. We hope that you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!
Bye.
Also, just underlining everything I said in this entire video as a joke, Minecraft, satire. Please.
Spectre Divide. I've never heard of that. I think this is a good place to stop. I think let's go autopilot
engaged.
Place. Yep. And yep, it is 1:30 in the morning. I think I will stop here. Been a long day. Been 13 hours and 35 minutes. I think that's a good place to stop. Just finish this dungeon and all that. Oh, wait, I came up, did I? Yeah, is it out of here? Yeah, it is out of here.
Approaching Stargate.
What's that? Damn it.
Looks like another false alarm.
You really think this was a false alarm? This terrible explosion sound, and then 2 execution shots, and then your buddy missing suddenly? That it was just a distraction, huh?
Autopilot jumping.
Hey, where's the big chest in this fucking place?
Warping to Stargate. Warp drive active. Approaching Stargate.
Cool.
Profit is never necessarily the aim, but if there is something worth taking. Autopilot jumping.
Ooh, permanently increases tool grip weapon damage by additional 2%.
Moving to Stargate. Warp drive active.
You can just keep going, huh, until you become this, like, force of nature.
Approaching
Go through the doorway. Explosives, man. Get up. You're so dumb. That shit's been so dumb since goddamn Morrowind. Why do you do it, or Oblivion, or whatever it is? Why do you do that stupid shit? Get it out of the game. I don't need you to sit down in the chairs. It's fine. Fuck.
Autopilot jumping. Warping to station. Warp drive active. Approaching station. Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted. Docking permission requested. Autopilot disabled. Waypoint reached.
Did you erase my progress here? Because I kind of worked on that.
If you need to harvest any organic materials, now would be the time.
Why is this level 15 tanking me so crazy? You can shoot the orange thing. Fucking annoying. That looks good, the flashlight on the sand. It looks so good. The shadow cutting on it. Okay, I came here. This is my contraband base. It only exists to have a chest that I can put contraband in. I'm just gonna start stacking contraband until I need it. Yeah, it's cool how you can elevate and like look out the windows and stuff. Let's take a nap and look at this place in the daytime. I guess I stayed up a little longer. Ugh.
And so our adventure continues.
Why didn't you have a contraband fucking thing? You're so stupid, Bethesda. There's mech components. That was it. I picked up some mech components, so I had to come all the way back here. Alright. Okay, this is, ooh, beautiful. Yeah, this is a good place to log into. It's fucking beautiful. Look, it's like all rainbow sky and everything. I love this planet. It looks like that video from Cottonmouth Kings called What a Long Strange Trip It's Been, I think. I can't remember. Or no, Marmalade Skies or something. I forget. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's Marmalade Skies. I forget. No, your fucking footsteps are way too fucking loud. Maybe 50. She does look cool. She looks like out the window and stuff. She's just like looking. Oh no, we already slept. And I got rid of my thingies. So we can save here and stop. And I will receive, and then I will log over. And you, I will begin to upload videos. Nor Jasmine did it before. Yeah, I wondered if, yeah, man, they're all doing this, huh? That I'll watch before I go to bed.
Two of the biggest players in the California
more.
water scene are Stuart and Linda Resnick.
Linda Resnick? She's a good nut. She's a child of Hollywood. He's a businessman with ties to the mob.
These guys control the water, and they're seeking the most profit they possibly can.
Somebody's getting rich off of our water, and it ain't us.
It's the brainchild of my friend Linda Resnick. Welcome, Linda.
Thanks, really great to have you here.
Oh, 1.5 ounces of vodka.
Yeah, I'm having a ball.
My inventory's full. Yellow jars and earthen flower pots. A little better. Now, Okay, that's all the Final Fantasy labor I want to do today.
So now, do you?
That's the good news. There's bad news.
Linda Resnick. Welcome, Linda.
Thank
Really
you.
great to have you here. Oh, 1.5 ounces of vodka.
Yeah, I'm having a ball.
Who wanted else? She's like hanging out with fucking Martha Stewart. Oh my god. Okay, so you have been watching Skycat Live. I'm a full-time variety gamer all day, every day. Click on the cast face to donate. Come to skycat.live. I'm a full-time variety gamer all day, every day. Put me on the background. Come click on the cast face to donate. Come to the Twitch or the YouTube. Like, sub, or follow. Give me a like, sub, or follow. I love you guys. Thank you so much. And I will be back here tomorrow to do more video games. Yay! I will be back tomorrow. Y'all have a good evening, and it was good to see you. I'm going to bed. And at this point, this video will end with a reminder that I have some thousands of videos on my YouTube channel. Come check me out on my YouTube channel. Give me a like, sub, or a follow, and check out some of the videos. And this whole session, in its 13-hour and 50-minute duration, will be posted to my channel as soon as I stop this video, which is right now. And this stream will end in just a couple of minutes once I'm done uploading. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for your time, and y'all have an excellent day. Bye.